secret to doing history is asking the right questions, looking in the right places, and being able to tell good stories.
This man who came on the Oregon Trail in a wagon, took it in a car, and then flew over it in a plane. It just all comes together right here.
And really the secret to telling a good story is finding something that you find is personally significant or personally fascinating.
I was always fascinated because my grandmother wrote in her diaries about attending the fair and what a miraculous thing it was.
2009 is the 100th anniversary of the Alaska-Yukon-Pacific Exposition. And it was really Seattle's first World Fair.
Meet me in dear old Seattle, my dolly. Meet me out west at the fair. Lights will be gleaming, the golden west beaming. All the old crowd will be there.
Mohi decided to create a special program to celebrate that event and to involve nearby historians in that process.
Discovering AYPE is one of those opportunities that come up when you have a centennial and people say what happened, and those that like to delve into history, or local history particularly, say, well, let's go shake the shelves and see what falls out. Killed here. Oh yeah, cigar is a cigar.
So you could smoke cigars on the fairgrounds, but not the cigarettes? Discovering the Alaska-Yukon-Pacific Exposition, Discovering AYPE, is an outgrowth of a program that we ran here for 10 years called Nearby History. So for 10 years, we trained thousands of people in King County Library System and Seattle Public Library to do their own history from scratch. And they were interested in a broad array of topics: their Studebaker, their family, their house, the drugstore on the corner, the house of worship, the park, all of that interested people. And then Helen Diviak and I thought it would be fun to try focusing this on one topic, focusing on the Alaska-Yukon-Pacific Exposition because of the Centennial commemoration.
In 1909, Seattle was an emerging city. It was increasingly cosmopolitan and increasingly technologically focused. So the boosters in the city decided to have a World's Fair to really showcase where the city not only had been, but where it was going. And 100 years later, we need to celebrate that because we are still recognizing the ideals, we're still realizing the ideals that these men and women set out in 1909. We're still trying to define Seattle as a cosmopolitan city that's internationally focused, that's increasingly diverse. And here at the Museum of History and Industry, we wanted a unique way to celebrate that centennial. We decided to go with the program Discovering AYPE because we really wanted to encourage Seattle citizens to discover what the Alaska-Yukon-Pacific Exposition was for themselves.
There have been more than 200 participants in the program so far, and we're not done yet. And in the writers' seminar, we probably have about 75 active writers. And their projects range all over the place. One is writing about the smells of the AYPE. Another is writing about the Women's Christian Temperance Union and the matron that was hired to police morality and purity at the fair. A number of people are writing about medicine at the fair. A couple of people are writing about law enforcement. There are people writing fiction, there are people writing nonfiction. One fellow is very interested in the music of the fair.
Mohi has been sponsoring workshops in the Seattle Public Libraries and King County Libraries. I went to one at our local library, and there were a lot of artifacts and different topics introduced.
Soon as they started to, I guess, food it but feed it.
What intrigued me was the letter from a man named Walter A. Elpide, who wrote a letter to the president of the AYPE complaining that his wife and his sister-in-law went into the forestry building in one of the restrooms there to nurse their babies and was held captive there by a maid who insisted that they pay her before they could leave, 10 cents a piece, which equals better than $1.50 a piece today. They didn't have any money, so they were upset, and she wasn't going to let them leave. After we talked about what we could learn from this one-page letter, I came home and researched on Ancestry.com mostly, but as many different websites as I could, trying to learn more about this man and his family. The story of these two women just interested me because I just felt sorry for them. I thought, what would I do in a situation like that? They were sort of held hostage, and so I did have sympathy for them.
So, entrance is original. The couple lives upstairs there. They're friends of Christine. He's an accountant, so they're fairly well off, and we're going to go to the fair together with them. So, doorbell. I'm a local history researcher, but I write fiction. Then I can come back and say, hello, it's Christine. Are you ready yet? And they come down and they come out the door, and then we walk up to get on the streetcar. Everyone's looking at this as an opportunity to tell some stories, and that's what I'm doing. So I'm out looking for characters. I'm walking the streets, I'm plundering the archives, I'm going through the shoeboxes and talking to people that know something about it, and I'm even tapping my own family history. My family went to the fair. It was the big thing to do in 1909. In a past career, I actually was an investigator, a federal personnel security investigator working for the Civil Service Commission, where I would write people's biographies. And makes me, I guess, uniquely qualified because I am a history detective. I'm still banging on doors, except that I'm putting myself back in 1910 to do that. The Alaska-Yukon Fair.
Look at the toys. Can you play with the toys? Let's see. My project is about a baby named Ernest who was offered as a raffle prize at the AYPE. He was one of 6 children that the Washington Children's Home Society had available for adoption. And he would be given to whoever showed up with the ticket as long as the Children's Home Society found that person to be suitable. I'm interested in this project because I think how a society treats its children is a true measure of the society. And I've worked in dependency and paternity work as an attorney, which is basically working with foster children.
So I was looking at the film from Norway Day at the Alaska-Yukon-Pacific Expo, and I noticed that this dress is very much like the dresses the women were wearing in the film. Can you tell me something about it?
Well,
My project is a novel for young adults set here in Seattle starting in 1907. And it's about a young girl with a Norwegian family who comes here after her father's injured in an accident, and she has the opportunity to go to the Alaska-Yukon-Pacific Expo and has all of these fun adventures, including befriending one of the Inuit entertainers in the Eskimo village. And she meets people from all over the world and sees all kinds of exciting things that kind of expand her world. It's a coming-of-age story about a girl who grows up in the very exciting period of American history where so much was in transition.